I always want to do a history of living in the AI age. Basically, when I was reading a book from Shanghai, that was one of the traditional Chinese medical doctors in Shanghai in the 1920s, 1930s, including 1940s. He remembered the life he had in Shanghai and various people, different trade, their life stories, from business person to government officials or regular people. Also, he recommended and he recorded what are the prices at that time. That gives you a really vivid show of how Shanghai was like by that time. Later down the road, there's a very interesting TV series that everybody in the Chinese world knows about Shanghai, the tales of the Shanghai. That just hired him as the expert to restore the ancient Shanghai at that time with the clothing they have, the utensils, the language, and everything. They're trying to restore the ancient times. So it's very important somebody can record history, because otherwise, when you go to the world of AI with Sora and everything, you can create all the digital world, which is not true. At least we should produce them some of the raw footages for them to understand and remember what this time in 2025 when AI is starting to dominate the coming into the human world. So this is the inside of the Gaylord Resort. You can see the big sunscreen that can transmit all the lights, and all the hotel rooms one by one. We're gonna go downstairs. And this is the morning when we have the meeting registration. And of course I have my badge here, SITC. Inside of the hotel, there's also another meeting for medical world. So in America, actually, medicine is a huge industry. It's a neutral world. I don't say that's bad, good or bad, because it's good in that can mobilize people, resources in a really efficient manner. And it's an industry that is, put it that way, it's a business. The pharmaceutical companies, they become a trade, like an industry. And healthcare is an industry. And one of the biggest customers is the US government, because the government pays through Medicare and Medicaid. Of course, there are private insurance companies. So the US is still a business environment that the government is not was one of the payers, one of the big customers, but it's not the only customer. What happens when you have the European system that you only have government as a payer, then the government will dictate everything. Because whoever pays has the right to request what kind of service, right? And also in this modern world, many behaviors are shaped or determined by economic factors, by the revenue or the resources or the market. For example, in European countries, since the payment is the same, people tend to give less fractionations, less treatments, and get patients all over the way and mobilize the system, because there's the incentive to treat more. While in the United States, you're paid by fee-for-service model sometimes, so you tend to give more radiation treatments because physicians and the facility can collect for each payment. If you have the bundled payment, you get paid, say, $20,000 for a prostate course of radiation treatment, and lots of the centers will be incentivized to use 5 treatments or less. But here, there's no incentive, so lots of centers are shifting into the hypofractionated, and this is a good trend. But also, there's no real incentive to drive them from using more treatments per course, because still it's a pay for service model. Just give you one of the examples. And also for immunotherapy, it's covered by insurance. And for lots of patients, they're going to be on immunotherapy for a long time. Does it work? Sometimes not. Does it for everybody? Sometimes not. But it's a huge drain for the national resources because it's not cheap. Alright, we're coming through their sweets and treats. And this is a mini street for the vendors, for the bars, restaurants, and the Christmas tree section. There's a huge Christmas tree in the air, and in the evening it's going to be lighted up. The hotel rooms in the Gaylord Resort is just like an ordinary Marriott. What's unique is in the conference center setting and also all this kind of like a mall living environment, this neighborhood feeling. Yeah, there's an indoor mini garden. That huge Christmas trees in the air. Yesterday it was blocked from entrance, and still there's technical crew here trying to set it up later. Probably gonna be more shows or whatever, and you can see the LED backdrop just behind the Christmas tree. It may look small on the camera, but it's really huge. There's also space in the door. Okay, outside. This is the river in Washington, D.C. This is called the harbor, the National Harbor. There's a floating water. It would be a nice place to take a seat and enjoy the water view. And we'll come back. That's the Gaylord Resort behind us. We'll go downstairs. There's people enjoying the sunshine and water and autumn. So this is perfect timing. It's not too hot, not too cold. We are very close to the marina. The airport is very close by. You can see plane taking off and down. And of course, I love waterfront. It's give you tranquility, rejuvenation, and serenity. That's the marina. You can see the cruise boats, yachts. The price here is about, I think, $300 an evening. That is because of the SITC event. I'm sure it's more expensive. It's probably $400, $500 range. And I've asked ChatGPT why the Gaylord Resort is so expensive. They're like, well, the room is just like a regular Marriott, but lots of people come here for the conferences and the inner cozy feel of all the, the big indoor space, activity, and kind of scenery stuff that you don't have that in regular Marriott as well. So it's the demand and supply. And my feeling was right. There are definitely more hotels there, like West Inn and the Marriott Residence Inn, West Inn, all around. So we're exiting the. Okay, this is the entrance. It's really nice to have a break once in a while because it's really boring to stay in the clinic every day look at the patients. Sometimes you see the world, see the latest science, and then see different things and environments. The way I see it is it's a big industry and it draws personnel, resources, and for me it's my view because I have worked in the lab as a graduate student. I see my crude analogy is the U.S. government or NIH, NCI give funding to the individual laboratories in the universities or the institutes, and it is more like sponsoring the startups the basic research that could lead to important breakthroughs such as the checkpoint inhibitors that came out of the lab, CTLA4 and PD-L1 antibodies. Those came from basic lab research. Of course, the yield is low. Lots of the preclinical data or the bench research never get the chance to be translated into clinical work. But anything is translated, for example, the PD-1, PD-L1, CTLA4, it boomed from a lab product, just like random finding, to a $60 billion market. Once that got translated, the industries take over. Like you try to commercialize, get the people on board, and their sales, marketing, do clinical trials, and developing the full products with compliance, FDA, international marketing, that just entering the global corporation chain of mass production. Of course, we're gonna go do that in more detail. So some of my old friends from graduate school, they came down not as scientists anymore, but they work for the investment companies. Why? Because at SITC, you probably have something that in the pipeline that's 5 years earlier and could translate into big commercial success later down 5 years in a row. And also, if you know some of the clinical trials just showed meaningful, interesting results, they're going to be announced as SITC first. So this is more like the stock or the high-tech company giving the technical demonstration, just like the Apple company released the iPhone. So this SITC thing somehow can play similar functions to give you what's the update about this field. And the CTLA4 antibodies announced in SITC meeting first, and then later down the road became a product. But definitely give you a competing edge about what's happening in this industry way ahead of the general public knows. And when those people come tomorrow, they're coming not only from the research people, but from pharmaceutical companies, physicians, investment companies. For those who invest in the biomedical industry, they have more information from this meeting, and these are all the first-hand information. You can even ask the people who presented that, what's real, what's the data about, what did they do. So it's very interesting to the business world. Inside is a gathering for people from industry, academic, investment companies, other people, just like a big party. And for me, it's about the learning, having a break, see the world. But for the other people, some people is going to show their findings, and the lots of the vendors here tomorrow, we can show that they're going to show what they have, and this is a demonstration of their business. And for the investment bankers, this is the place to tell you that which potential break could be there. For example, CAR therapy or more checkpoint inhibitors. You never know. Let's go back to the resort. We are actually entering from the back of the resort. Well, from the entrance, depending on how you see it. You can see the beautiful view, and this is the harbor. And we'll go back into the big glass thing there. You would enter where I started in the beginning, at the starting point.